What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be making a full review for the SaGa Soul Fierce General Banner that brings back Romancing Saga 2 styles. The first one being Crusader Christoph, that is an offensive and defensive support. Then we have Imperial Guard Ceres, that is a damage dealer with very good sustain. Then Hercules Mercenary, that is a damage dealer for overdrive turns. Let's start talking about Christoph. Like I said, he is an offensive and defensive support. His best status is Will. Having 103%, it's very nice because that will allow him to protect himself versus ailments. His STR is 107%, could be much better, but it's still okay. Then Endurance and Agility have very close values, allowing him to take less physical damage and still be a little fast. Moving on for passives, we have Offense and Defense 2. When our allies are still surviving, damage taken is reduced by 20%. That is Scrum Guard. We have seen this a lot recently. This passive is very good because you don't need to use any skill and you will have less damage taken in the fight. And depending on the situations, you can stack many sources of damage reduction to allow you to survive much better. He also increases damage by 10% for the whole squad as long as everyone is alive. Moving on, we have Voltage Force 2. By the start of a turn, he gets a heat up of very large effect, increasing his damage potential by 20% with each stack, reaching 100% damage increase by turn 5. By the end of a turn, he also recovers 2 BP. That means Christoph has access to 5 BP per turn. The third one is called Latent Bloom Defense. Attack increases by 20%, and by the start of a turn, he grants himself defense up medium, that decreases damage taken by 10%, stacking up to 5 times per battle. So by turn 5, he will decrease damage taken by close to 40% because this is stackable but is multiplicatively instead of additively. So he has minus 40% on average, then also has Scrum Guard. That means that he himself is not going to take much damage and will help people receive less damage besides himself. He will also have 130% damage passives by turn 5. That's not bad. Looks like some passives made for damage dealers, although he himself is lacking in the skill department. Now let's talk about the skills, and I'll start with the number 3, Lantern Light Slash. For 9 BP you have a fast attack that is single target with Slash and Sun, double S power and 50 mod. So this doesn't look so strong, right? But we have additional effects. Before he attacks, he grants all surviving allies an attack boost that will increase damage potential by 20% for that turn. That means that by increasing 20%, his damage output will feel like an entry-level triple S attack. Then he also boosts Overdrive attack boost that will increase damage potential by 30% for overdrive attacks only. That means that on overdrive turns, he will do even more damage, totalizing 50% damage increase. But on non-overdrive turns, he would just increase damage by 20%. But this is for the whole squad, so although he's not really a nuker, he will help people do a little more damage. It's just that right now, with so many damage passives and strong weapons, 20% doesn't really change much. Then he has skill number 1 called Azure Slash. For 1 BP you have a single target attack with Slash and Sun. This one will give morale up small that lasts for 2 turns to the party. This increases damage potential by 15%. So now we have a little more effects. You can actually start the fight with Azure Slash if you want to give morale up small, that will last for 2 turns, and then cycle Azure Slash and Lantern Light Slash. Sadly, the attack boost only lasts for that particular turn, so you have at least the morale up active at all times. But this will clash with some other support that we have. For example, Tank Gustave has morale up very large, increasing damage by 40%. So, well, they don't combo well together. But, as you can see, he already has that Scrum Guard, that passive 10% damage increase. When you consider everything, he actually helps a little, but could have been higher, because on this position, when he competes with Let's Paint Gustave, he will have way less value. Say, Gustave has high protect tension to himself, he has a Scrum Guard as well, so defensively they are pretty similar, because Gustave has higher status. And then he will inherit Let's Paint from the Painter style. Right on turn 1, he will give that 20% attack boost, but his one will last for 4 turns, not just 1 turn. He even stacks so that some turns you have 2 large effects together to increase 40%. Then he also applies the defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%. This lasts for 4 turns, and in some turns he will have 2 stacks of it. That means that defensively and offensively he will fare more, but he does not attack. Then he enters this energy charge stance, and in turn 3 he will give you a 25% endurance buff. That is not really that important. He will also give you guard up medium, decreasing damage taken by another 25%. The morale up very large, that increases damage potential by 40% and will clash with Christoph. That's the only thing that will clash with Christoph, to be honest, because everything else stacks. And he will also give 2 BP to the party. For people with Tank Gustave, you have 0 reasons to summon for Christoph, because even though Christoph does damage, the amount of buffs that Gustave gives will compensate for the lack of he attacking. And, well, in the end, survivability is even better. He will just receive way less damage with Gustave than with Christoph. But for people without that Gustave, Christoph does offer something, it's just that his banner does not offer as much value. Besides this central rotation, he has access to a spell called Lapis Light. For 3 BP you have a support fast skill that will buff all status by 40%, but to a single target. Well, this could be used so that you can increase the potential of a specific character. Let's say that you want to use Arpina for News or someone else in a counter strategy, so that you can just keep buffing that particular character to increase their damage potential. Okay, it works, but it's just 10% more value than our all-status buffers. For example, you have to manually level this up, and it will raise from 30% on rank 1 to 40% on rank max. And people like Matriarch, for example, they buff 4 different status with a skill that can be used almost any time as well. And it will also increase endurance, for example. So you want your support units to stay alive so that they can keep giving more support to your main attacker. Buffing endurance will allow them to survive. Or, with Paean of Peace, she also buffs will. Depending on the fights, this will also decrease damage taken to your support units. So, well, I don't know if this is so good, because in the end, you are just buffing one character for a little bit more value. So, this is his main gameplay, but there is also his passive style, Jorg, from the SaGa Soul banner as well, that carries Moonlight. This is a single target spell that can revive and heals unlocked. Then will also give morale up medium, increasing damage by 25%, lasts for 2 turns. Clashes with his own morale up, but this one is higher, so it will remain the higher value. So that he can become a healer if you need in battles. He has Scrum Guard, so no one has to die. That means that he can revive if someone just died, or protect someone that needs a healing. He can do that because his Lantern Light Slash is not that important. That will just, you know, change the flow of battle. He can stop and heal if you need. In the current update, we also got Final Strike Plus. This is a double S power attack with 53 mod. That's actually pretty high. He can only use this once, and it grants himself an attack down extreme that should decrease his attack by 50% for 2 turns. I don't know why they did this, because he's not really a damage dealer anyway. And he can only use this once. That means that he cannot even use it on Final Island, for example, to attack on turn 1 and turn 3. Even though he can by his BP generation. So these are the things that matter. Everything else doesn't matter. So Christoph will just stay there, cycling between skill 3 and skill 1, increasing damage potential by a little, increasing our resistance, but nothing here stands out to allow him to make a difference in fight. And if you have Gustave, just forget about Christoph. It's better to focus on defensive support, or when we are talking about offensive support, it has to be very high levels in order to make a difference. Buffers that will buff your main attribute like Muse, Melissa, and Matriarch are better. Or when you can bring people that buffs all status like Witch's Daughter, Null's Daughter, or even the latest Maria. Still, I believe Christoph deserves an SS Plus grade by what he offers. It's okay, but nothing spectacular. The next character is Ceres, and she has a very good STR, 121, just behind Hercules, and 100% endurance. That's a very good value for physical. Then we have 86% will, that's not that great, but she can buff her will as well. Agility is 93%, just enough so that she is not lagging behind. Moving on for passives, we have Pride of the Guard. When attacking with a normal attack, she will recover her HP by around 200 and also buff her own endurance by 15%. When attacking with slash attacks, she will grant herself a defense boost, decreasing damage taken by 15%, that lasts for 3 turns and stacks, and will also increase her own will by 15%. So it's important to say that when she uses a normal attack, her normal attack is slash. She will trigger all 4 effects. So she will self-heal, buff endurance, buff will, and apply a defense boost that will stack 3 times to allow her to decrease damage taken by around 40%. That's already very good. But when attacking with pierce attacks, she will also grant herself an attack boost that increases damage potential by 20% and will buff her STR by 15%. Okay, pierce. She has pierce attacks, but instead of using normal attack, you can just inherit this skill here from Minerva. Global X Minerva has a skill called Piercing Slash. That is both pierce and slash and buffs her own STR by up to 25%. Okay, so instead of using normal attacks, you can inherit Piercing Slash. You will lose that self-heal. You will lose that self-endurance buff. But her endurance is good enough, and she already self-heals. You can't just forget about this first part and keep up with that defense boost, attack boost, will buff, and STR buff. In using Piercing Slash, she will buff 40% STR in that particular turn. That's actually pretty nice. Moving on, we have Heart of the Mighty 2. On the start of a battle, she recovers 2 BP, and by landing a weak attack, she recovers 2 BP as well. Well, this is nice because in Remembrance, she is always landing weak attacks, but for real challenges, you have to use her for content that is weak to slash or pierce. Then the third is Fired Up 7, increasing damage by 40%. So she does not have a damage reduction passive on the start of the fight. She will start getting that by using slash attacks. As you can see here, she will grant herself that defense boost that will give her around minus 40% damage. That is good enough for long fights, especially because she will have high endurance and high will by buffing herself. Moving on, skill number 1, she has Rosy Flash, an 8 PP skill that is both slash and pierce with double S power. And if she is landing a weak attack and in the Dragon's Stance Axe formation, she can use this attack 3 times in a row. It will be enough to solo some content in the game, but she will only have 40% damage increase. That means that in some events she will not be able to solo. So at least the story, but not all events. Moving on, we have Dazzling Blades. That is a 10 BP skill that has both slash and pierce and attack random enemies 3 times. If there's only one enemy, okay, it will always be the same target, but if you have multiple enemies on the field, you will probably not want to use this skill. The good thing is that it will heal herself with each hit by very small effect. That will heal for more than 600 HP. Because it's 10 BP, that means that if you are attacking weak targets, she can use this every 2 turns. It will be either normal attack and Dazzling Blades, or Piercing Slash and Dazzling Blades, so that you have lots of effects stacked. So because Dazzling Blades has 3 hits with D power, you should consider this like a triple S attack. Well, it could have been better because we have now attacks like Vandalize. Well, just look on Silver's Vandalize. She deals lots of damage by 3 hits of B power. Yes, much higher. The thing here is just that she gets strong by the passives that she has access to, and not by the skill itself. Then the third one is called Fighter Special. This is a double S power attack with 49 mod. That's not really strong, but it grants the user a guard up very large that decreases damage taken by 40% and lasts for 5 turns. There's just one problem. This skill is just slash. You will not be getting that attack boost and STR buff from the pierce attacks. So I don't really like this. Unless you really need her to become super tanky, you should be focusing on Dazzling Blades and the normal attacks or Piercing Slash. This will give you more value out of the character. By losing the pierce damage, it means that she will cover less elements. Remember that she needs to attack weak targets. Now as for inheritance, there is Swooping Dragon Plus as well. That comes from her Victoria style. This is a 4S attack that has pierce damage and heals her HP by around 1,200. It's very strong, and healing will also add more sustain to the character. If you do not have Global X Minerva, you can also just use Glitter Shell. That will give her the attack boost and STR boost because it's pierce, and still give her access to a guard up, even if it is small, decreasing damage taken by 12% that lasts for 2 turns. So you can cycle Glitter Shell alongside Dazzling Blades, but the enemy will have to be weak to pierce. So she has 2 coverages, one for pierce, one for slash. And the last inheritance can be Acupuncture Plus for scenarios where the enemy needs to be debuffed by STR. Remember that this attack debuffs 30% and it does not rely on the intelligence of the user. It will always debuff. So by having access to past versions of the Imperial Guard, you'll be able to make a better version of the character. But I still don't think that this is very important, because we are getting characters with action switch that can get lots of triggers. Some of them can even have access to chase mechanics, like, well, Gwen, for example. And those will have longer potential for the game. But Ceres is good enough, and she will receive an SS Plus grade as a good defensive attacker. The last character is Hercules, and he is just the same as Hector, Mercenary. We have 122% SDR, that's very high, and 100% endurance alongside 90% will means that he is actually good defensively. Agility is 98%, very good, so that he tries to attack before the enemies. His love and charisma are kinda bad, but he can self-heal. Moving for passives, we have Ceaseless Spirit 2. By the end of a turn, he will get 25 points of overdrive. Gosh, that's insane, very high. JP has even 40 points of overdrive, but right now, this is the highest. Then we have 37% chance to heal by small effect, that will be close to 1000. Moving on, we have Voltage Drive. By the start of a turn, he will grant himself an over-enhanced extreme effect that will increase his overdrive damage by 30%. This lasts for the whole fight and can trigger 5 times per battle. So, by the start of turn 5, he will have 150% damage increase for overdrive attacks. By the end of a turn, he recovers 1 BP, meaning that he is a 4 BP per turn character, but he actually needed to be a 5 BP per turn. We'll be discussing this later. Then he has Overblock Tension. Damage increases by 20% at all times, then by 35% total on combo, and then 50% total on overdrive. For skills, we have Autumn Slash. It's a free skill that buffs STR by 30% on max level, and then attacks with deep power. So, nice because you are buffing before attacking for free, very nice. Then the second one is called Plume Meditation. For 4 BP, you can use this 3 times per battle. He will heal himself with C power, that means that he will heal for around 1,500 on max level, and then he will grant himself Overenhance, the same effect from Voltage Drive. That will increase damage potential of overdrive attacks by 30%. Then he will also grant himself Defense Up, decreasing damage taken by 10%. Well, he can use this 3 times, that means that he will get 90% damage increase for overdrive, and 3 stacks of minus 10% damage to himself. Then let's talk about the third one already. Calligraphy Flash is a single target attack with triple S power, just slash damage, and before he attacks, he will grant himself an attack boost of very large effect. Very large effect will increase damage potential by 30%, lasts for only 1 turn. Then he launches the attack. This will feel like entry level 4S attack because of this attack boost. And if you are using this attack on overdrive, he will also grant himself another stack of Ceaseless Spirit 2. This will last for 3 turns. Yeah, he's doubling his passive, and well, he will get 50 points of overdrive by doubling it, and 2 chances of 37 to self-heal. But now let's discuss it all. So you really want to start with Plume Meditation to give at least the first defense up. To be honest, you want to use this 3 times in a row, because his endurance and will are not bad, he can actually survive. Okay, now that we have Plume Meditation stacked 3 times, you will probably be on overdrive, because of the sum of OG Gauge and the use of Plum Meditation, you already have 100 points. So by turn 4, you are still not fully stacked. You will only have 4 stacks of Voltage Drive, but that's pretty close. You already have almost everything. And you will just use the Ceaseless Spirit passive to get 40 points of overdrive by the end of that same turn. In turn 5, you get at least another 50 points. That means that on turn 6, you are now again on overdrive with access to the full potential of Hercules. And what is the full potential of this character? Well, 150% overdrive damage from Voltage Drive, then another 90%, that becomes 240, right? Then we also have 50% from overblock tension. Aligned with Calligraphy Flash increase of 30%, you will have a total of 320% damage increase on overdrive. So, with everything stacked, he has 340% increase over a triple S attack. Okay, so is that really awesome? I have to say that it is very strong, but a triple S attack with that much damage increase still does not beat a fully charged Leon. Yes, I cannot show you the calculations behind it, but remember that Leon opens with a triple S attack and then he chases 5 times with a deep power attack. And that by itself is very strong. Hercules will get close to that value. But there is a big caveat here. Hercules will not be capable of using that nuke every turn. Leon can nuke every single turn after he builds up. Hercules will have in between turns where he is not on overdrive, so what can he actually do? Use Autumn Slash, okay, he will self-buff, nice. But, another big caveat, he gets only 4 VP per turn. That means that he won't have always enough for Calligraphy Flash, unless you bring someone in the team that will give him VP. The best case scenario is Hercules gets to overdrive and has enough VP to nuke every 2 turns. This won't happen in all team builds because he only generates 8 VP instead of 10. But will do way less in the next turn. When he's not on overdrive, his only damage potential comes from this 20% here. So even through when you look on all these big numbers, you can think, oh, Hercules is super strong. That does not translate into the real truth. He needs to be compared to Leon because they are both characters that needs to use skills before they can even start doing damage. The good thing about Hercules is that he does not use LP in order to do damage. That's the good thing. He can also inherit this skill called Vandalize Plus from his school version. That is super strong. This is a 4S attack for everything that's worth with very high mod. But this one will not give him overdrive gauge. That means that you will be now locked into a 3-turn overdrive rotation. That will actually feel okay, because by the end of it, he may not generate enough BP to just keep that cycle of overdrive attack every 2 turns. So you could even use Vandalize Plus if you want. It has a bigger base damage than Calligraphy Flash. So, this actor can also inherit some other stuff, but it doesn't make much difference because, look, even this version, Leave It to Mercs, has higher damage on farming. He has 40% damage increase. When compared to his only 20%. He's not a good farmer, not even close. So, he's made for long fights, and because we don't have that many big nukers for Great Swords, we are getting some that are good, but nothing really special. Hercules can work for Remembrance, pretty fine, but in real hard challenges, he just can't compete with Leon that is now like 1 year old. Also, even not considering Leon, Hercules is inferior to other people, like the latest version of Arthur, that will always chase with his attack that has 8 power, and he also self-buffs. And he also has 1 defense capability and also self-heals. Arthur is much easier to use because he does not need the team to be built around him. He will just do good enough damage, and he just scales and does damage from turn 1. There are other damage dealers like Khalid, that is also very defensive. He deals good damage and keeps just increasing it over time. So these characters are better off when using with most squads because they just work. Whereas Hercules is a little more gimmicky, needs to attack on overdrive, and in between turns does very low damage. So Hercules is not bad. I have to say that he works, it's just that it's not worth to chase a character that competes with a very popular one called Leon, and we'll get more versions of Leon that will make the distance between them even higher. With that said, he still gets an SS plus grade in the tier list as someone that works, but just is not worth to pull for. Now back to the banner image, is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, no. I will give it a bronze plus award, just because these characters do have some level of power, but they don't have a good future prospect. Thinking about Christoph, he does have Scrum Guard and tries to be an offensive buffer, but his offensive buffs are not that important or game-changing. He loses to Tank Gustave. If you don't have Tank Gustave, I do believe there is a big gap between the two, and it's better to wait a better banner with someone with similar setup instead of going for Christoph. Ceres is actually very strong. To be honest, if you have the Global X Minerva, she can actually work super well for a Great Sword Remembrance, and well, she self-heals, deals enough damage, and self-buffs. Hercules is, well, damage dealer, but with a very big problem of BP cycles and very low damage in between moments where he can actually nuke. So, most people have Leon, they are okay with using Leon. For people that have problem with Remembrance, Greatsword, you are summoning for 2 characters that will work there, but again, I believe that the only one that will make big difference is Ceres because she actually has lots of defense capabilities and will work even in serious challenges without having to think too much about the team setup, while Hercules will have to be placed on a team that will help him out to get that 2BP that he needs in order to keep that pass cycle off, nuking in one turn, buffing in the other. But overall, this banner offers very low value and I will not be pulling. I think that if you want to pull now, Maria is the best banner, even if you already have Muse. With all that said, this is my opinion. What is yours? Please see here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this can help you with deciding. And if you want to support the channel, there are links in the description. We are a YouTube channel that relies on community support. Hope to see you soon in the next video or next live stream. Bye.